I think we can agree. 60, big year. Even bigger episode, though.
It's a big year for if you turn 60, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
This isn't the 60th year of Trailer Hitch.
No. I'm sorry. I was trying to do a compare and contrast, and clearly wasn't articulating myself well enough.
But I'm on the same page now.
Okay, yeah.
It's a big episode for us.
We were in different books on the same page, and now we finally just got the right textbooks.
Okay, same textbook.
Yeah, totally. So our theme today is Social Security.
Because of 60.
Well, and also because of what we're reviewing tonight.
What are we reviewing tonight?
So we got 3 trailers for y'all. We got High Life, we have John Wick 3 Parabellum, and we also have Beach Bum. There is a common thread. Here we go. All right, so High Life is about people living in space, inherently dealing with social issues right there. I think we can agree.
Yeah, social order of things.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Yep.
John Wick 3 Parabellum. John Wick is fending off enclave of assassins that are coming for him. Security, right there. Security is clearly a big part of the
name.
film.
It's in the name. So not social security, but one of the words.
And then Beach Bum.
Bring it home.
Beach Bum is about a writer who lives incredibly recklessly. So recklessly, I would argue he's not going to live long enough to see Social Security.
Stunning. Well done, Kevin.
I've been doing this for 60 episodes. If you give me a cereal box, I'll find a fucking theme in it.
You can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Grab a seat, pour yourselves some whiskey neat. It's time to judge the shit out of these future releases by the movie trailers. We're Trailer Hitch. This movie might totally suck, but the whiskey sure is going down fine. Yeah, we're Trailer Hitch.
By the way, this is a trailer review podcast called Trailer Hitch.
Thank you for reminding me. I wasn't so sure.
It's really for the audience. Hi, I'm Kevin.
Hi, everyone. I'm James.
We here at Trailer Hitch rate and review movie trailers. We rate them on a scale of need to see more, or never need to see. If James and I both give a trailer a need to see rating, we see the movie, report back to you guys in a segment called Trailer in the Review, in which we review the trailer and movie in retrospect. And
do you have that whole spiel tattooed on your forearm?
I've said it.
It's so
this is at
precise.
This is at least the 60th time I've said it. And I think at this point now, usually I'm not even thinking as I say any of this stuff anymore. I can just say it.
I see your eyes just glaze over,
exactly,
Kevin, when you start doing this bit. So I'm just I'm going to wait for Kevin to be done. Okay, he's back now. We have Kevin back, everyone.
The handful of times you interrupt during that, I have to be wait, where am I now?
I try not to interrupt anymore because it really throws your whole...
My equilibrium is just gone. Yeah. Equilibrium is here to stay, and that's good. Because we have to go into a teaser trailer showroom. James.
Dun dun dun.
Yes, so teaser trailer showroom. These are for teaser trailers, which by nature mean that they have to be need to see mores.
Yes. So we won't be giving them a rating.
Exactly, yes. So right now we're in what is effectively just a showroom where we see the trailers, there's a salesman in the corner, they seem like they want to come over, but we're trying to put some scowls on, so they leave us alone and try not to upsell us.
We're just here to wet our whistle.
Exactly.
Not to do the whole
Take a look at what's coming out, what's new.
Exactly.
We don't have good enough credit to put down money on this trailer.
Absolutely not.
We're just taking a look at the sticker.
I'd be paying that off until I was a ghost. Until I was a ghost.
Was that a transition?
No, I'm just gonna end very.
I was I
there.
want to see where this goes, but if we just have to bullshit. No, you know what? That is a good transition. Why didn't you stick the landing gear,
Because
man?
I felt like making it awkward would be funnier. Anyway, our first teaser is Ghostbusters 3.
James, in the ripe old episode age of 60, I feel like you need to have the confidence to just launch into your transition.
You're true. I'm getting over a cold right now, so I think maybe that's what's shaking me a little bit.
I couldn't tell.
The whiskey is really helping balance things out.
Irish Cure.
Irish cure.
But enough about your cold and enough about the Irish. We have to talk about Ghostbusters 3.
Yes, we do.
Which ended up surprising
everyone.
I think, yeah,
Other
the
than,
internet.
I mean, Jason Reitman probably.
Yeah, I feel like he had a pretty good idea. And considering that it's a direct sequel in the line of Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2.
Exactly.
Would also have to assume Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson.
Look, we can't assume anything, actually. Because what do we have to go off of? Let's focus on this teaser.
Yeah.
Which is... should I go through what this is about?
Please go through it. There's a lot to talk about.
There's so much to talk about, guys. Okay, we open, and we're in a field.
Yep.
A rural farm fields.
Mm-hmm. A far cry from the New York setting.
Exactly.
That we're used to.
Very, very good. Very good. And the camera is pushing in towards a barn.
Mm-hmm.
And we go into the barn.
Yeah.
And then there in the barn is a object that's covered in a cover.
A tarp.
A cover
of some
a cover
sort.
and a cover. You understand. A cover. It's tarped over, and we get some flashes, some lightning, and some very familiar sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a proton pack heating up. Maybe. And then the wind...
We're not sure yet because there's still the tarp.
The wind blows the tarp up, like Marilyn Monroe's dress in Over the City Grates.
Are we going to see something as alluring as Marilyn Monroe?
Oh, you betcha. It's the Ecto-1 Ghostbusters van.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
That's the entirety
of the teaser. And it said, I think it also said coming 2020.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Mm.
So... that's it.
I think I wanted to just bring this teaser up just because it was sort of a surprise. Well, obviously it was a surprise that we were getting a Ghostbusters 3 at all.
The teaser served as an announcement, really.
Because for me, the timeline of things was they announced that they were going to do a Ghostbusters 3 with Jason Reitman directing. And then 2 to 3 days later, that's when we get this teaser.
I think it was like the next day.
It might have even been that truncated. And it's just interesting to have that announcement and then to have everyone lose their shit. And then, whoa, there's a teaser.
Yeah.
Ultimately, for me, I think it would have been stronger if you didn't have that pre-announcement. If, like, you just dropped this on the internet and went, by the way, Ghostbusters 3, Jason Reitman's directing it.
Jason Reitman's directing it. Yeah.
And bear in mind, the reason why we keep bringing this up is because Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son, and Ivan Reitman is the director of the original Ghostbusters. And
also, the passing of the baton of this kind of thing is what is enticing a lot of people.
It's certainly,
me in particular.
It's certainly, I have way more faith in it than Max Landis doing an American Werewolf in London remake.
Yeah. Who needs it? I mean, to be fair, who needs a Ghostbusters 3? I sure don't need it.
I'm kind of worried Sony is doing this as a mea culpa for the reaction to the Paul Feig directed Ghostbusters that came out.
That's a very astute observation, though.
Mm.
And I think there's merit to it.
Probably.
I think, the Paul Feig Ghostbusters wasn't received as well as Sony wanted it to be. Yeah. I liked it.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
Totally fine.
There you go. It was hit or miss with a lot of people. It's
very shotgun humor. It's like we're going to try and get as many jokes out as we can.
Yucks. They went for a lot of yucks in that.
And bear in mind, with this teaser, we have very little to go off of.
Oh, yeah.
So there's absolutely
sidetracked here.
Well, but like there's absolutely no guarantee that that's not the direction that they'll be taking with
correct.
Ghostbusters 3.
Absolutely correct.
I mean,
man, I did not think we'd be able to get this much material out of this tiny Ghostbusters
I feel like
teaser.
we're stretching.
We are stretching. We should probably trap this one in the ghost trap here and move it along.
And swing along, yes. Swing along. Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Did you get your passport? Peter Parker here to pick up a passport, please.
Mini toothpaste?
Mm-hmm.
Pack your suit.
I just want to go on my trip with my friends. Europe doesn't really need a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Here's the deal about Marvel trailers. Now, usually the first Marvel trailer that we get effectively functions as a teaser, right? So it's like Captain Marvel's first trailer. Trailer 1 is basically just a teaser. The Endgame trailer.
Avengers Endgame.
Yes. Yep. And that first trailer is basically just a teaser.
Are they going to come back? Maybe. Trailer
maybe.
1.
Right. Finally get a Marvel trailer that is branded as teaser. And now at this
right
point...
on there. Right, it says right there. Teaser, trailer.
And immediately I'm like, how can you get even more truncated than your trailer 1's Marvel? And I thought for a second that our joke would come to life, where teaser 1 was just going to be Spider-Man as a pile of dust. And there would be a broom in the corner and a janitor slowly making its way to it as the dust like tries to shift away. And it was like, all right, here we go. And I clicked it. And folks, holy shit, their teaser 1 is more detailed and has far more story content than most of Marvel trailer 1s.
It's a trailer 1 legitimately.
Yeah.
And you marketed it as a teaser. What is happening? I
And
can't
because
keep
you
this
marketed
straight
it as
at
a
all.
teaser, we have to look at it in the teaser showroom, even though this is pretty much ready for a rating.
Based off of our own criteria. This
God
is how
damn
we
it.
have to do it. But we're sticklers.
We're sticklers.
We're sticklers to the rules
Absolutely
here.
sticklers.
And we're not going to let anyone slide
Without
by.
rules,
that means
you just
Disney.
Without rules, you just slide into anarchy, and that's what leads to people getting snapped.
Yeah.
We can't have it.
You GD right. Anyway.
Although, to be fair, order was what made everyone get snapped. Maybe
Oh, yeah.
we should rethink our rubric.
By the way, spoiler alert. So, Kevin, tell us a little bit about this quote-unquote teaser trailer.
All right, so at this point now, we are seeing Peter Parker in New York. Happy comes to visit him, flirts with his aunt. It's sort of weird. But the meat and potatoes of this is Spider-Man, Peter Parker, is going on a school trip to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes the deliberate decision, I don't want to be Spider-Man. I'm leaving the suit behind. I just want to... And it's not explicitly said.
He wants a vacation.
Yeah,
from
it's
Spider-Man.
not explicitly said, but he's still a teenager. And
Yeah.
have a week or so to just be a teenager is incredibly alluring to him. And so for a decent amount of time, we see that, where we see him on this trip. He's with his friends, flirts with that teen sensation who is apparently a big deal. I don't know who she is. I'm sorry.
Zendaya?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
MJ. That's all you need
MJ.
to know.
Yeah, she is MJ.
She is the franchise's MJ, even though her name is not Mary Jane.
I'm sorry, Zendaya fans, but at the same time, you also have to know that it took me like 3 years to remember Sebastian Stan. So, it's
and
just...
you still don't get it.
It's just
you
me...
just don't...
It's
you
just
know how
me being
handsome he
older.
is? He's so handsome, Kevin.
Yeah, he's fine.
No, he's so handsome. We're going to get letters.
No, we're going to move on, is what we're going to do. Because Spider-Man, unfortunately, has to move on from this nice trip. Because his friend gets pegged in the fucking neck with a sleep dart. And we look
Who is
over,
it?
and
Who is
Nick Fury is sitting there.
One and the same. Yeah.
And he's like, we need you now, bud. Europe is under attack. It's go time. And Spider-Man has to don a suit. It looks to be a newer one because now he's got the fucking flying squirrel contraption.
Those were in Homecoming, if you remember.
Yeah. Oh, I do not remember.
It was after he jumped off of the Washington Monument and did like a somersault behind the helicopter.
I remember the
He
scene.
went
I
like
don't
that.
remember the scroll.
It's like 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very brief.
I don't know. Maybe his aunt
It
shipped
is
him.
it is a new suit though because
Oh, it is?
it's
Okay.
like red and black almost.
Sure.
It's the color scheme is different. There's also like a different costume in the teaser where he's all in black and it looks like a stealth cat burglar type Spider-Man suit.
Sure.
So that's a new suit too. So
Yeah.
there's going to be new suits in this.
Exactly. And it appears as if the threat, if you remember Spider-Man 3, when Sandman is basically just like an amorphized version of whatever physical property he happens to be attached to. If you don't remember that, if you've seen the 1999 movie The Mummy, and you remember the mummy face kind of like eating a plane
One of the best
with
cinema
wind.
moments of my life, yeah.
It's basically, that's the villain, but largely seems to be centered on water.
There's water, there's a fire one.
I think there's,
and
you're right.
there's like
fire.
an earth one.
Yeah.
So
And really for me, that's the big thing that's missing from this trailer, is we have a general threat of, oh, Europe, look out! we don't necessarily know what the specific threat is, but to be fair, looking back at that first Homecoming trailer, we don't really get a lot of information about the Vulture.
That's a really fair point,
and
too, yeah.
The Vulture was a really well-drawn villain, especially in Marvel's context.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where, given their cinematic universe, that in of itself isn't enough for me to be like, pump the brakes. But I am kind of tapping my brakes right now. And I'm noticing that is something that I think I'd like a little bit more of in a trailer.
Totally.
But to be fair, I thought the ending button was really funny.
Yeah, I mean, so it looks like his adversary is the band Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes,
clearly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he decided to go to Europe in September.
Yeah.
And
oh boy,
that's a big month for Earth, Wind, and Fire.
You thought you could come here and be the big show in September? You kidding me? So you're forgetting the most exciting part for a Spider-Man fan, anyway.
Please, hit me up.
The emergence of Mysterio. So Jake Gyllenhaal comes in.
That's who he was supposed to be.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
He didn't have the fucking helmet.
He did in the next shot, which is like a wide shot of him like going around. The button is... I haven't laughed that loud at a button in a long time.
It's this really great separation of Peter Parker as the character and Spider-Man the hero.
Yeah.
One, and two, it does speak to the broader point of why Peter Parker wanted to go to Europe was to disconnect from being Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And in a weird way, even getting demeaned by his bully is exactly what he wants right now. And especially in the face of the responsibility he has to bear. Just being called a dickwad by someone is enough for him to, like, you see him really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah, so that's the teaser we have to work with. It's kind of like it's a full trailer. We have a threat. We have the framing device of we're in Europe. We have supporting characters. We have main characters. We have new suits. We have a great button.
Yeah.
How are they marketing this one as a teaser, but all the other ones are just full trailers?
I would have been more than happy.
Blows my mind.
Would have been more than happy to give this a rating, but your fucking teaser.
But we can't, can we?
No, we can't. I mean, like, general thoughts. Yeah, I would say the only thing that's kind of pulling me out at the moment is one. I would like to see a little bit more information about the villain, I guess, is the way I would put it. Like, what is this force that is just kind of coming up from the water?
Yeah.
I think a huge draw to the Vulture was how human he was, and we are now getting what appears to be the complete antithesis of that. And especially with Mysterio, who is inherently like a pretty ludicrous villain, even in like the Spider-Man universe.
He appears to be ludicrous.
Right, you're right. But like the fact that like he's able to manipulate illusions is obviously a far cry from just this poor schmuck from Jersey who lost his job. I mean, like, those are my light reservations with it. But otherwise, I really enjoyed this trailer. But how about you?
I thought it was a fun trailer. I think it's very... Coming off of the back of Avengers Infinity War, it's not what I wanted. Because it's very much like we just saw half the universe get decimated, including Peter Parker.
Isn't that the weird thing about Marvel these days?
And now it's like, here's a movie where Spider-Man's alive and well.
Yeah.
Nick Fury's there too. He's alive and well too. It's like all these people are fine, and not only alive, but are acting as if like nothing happened. How are you supposed to build up the intensity for Avengers Endgame when you're showing me already that things will be fine?
I'm going to ask this knowing full well you'll help me out here, man. Is Endgame coming out before Far From Home?
Yes.
Okay. So there's at least that. Like,
Captain Marvel comes out first.
Okay.
Which takes place in the 90s, so it doesn't matter.
You're right.
Endgame comes out next, and then Spider-Man Far From Home comes out in July.
Sure. Okay, so there's at least that. And I mean, I can understand because, to my very limited understanding of comics, there are instances where, like, there may be a main storyline going on, and then, like, side stories will come out.
100%, yeah.
And so it's like, I'm able to kind of distance myself a little bit and say, in the context of comics, okay, this is just kind of like side issues. You know what I mean? Like, this might not necessarily pertain to the larger cinematic universe, but this might be like a side issue. That said, yeah, I mean, like, the entire marketing behind the entire MCU is we are building to this exact moment. And so to have, quote-unquote, side issues coming out so fucking close to the end, I mean, realistically, it's probably like we're going to wring out every fucking dollar out of these people.
Especially when it takes place timeline-wise after the big event.
Yeah,
it's like, you're showing us everything will be fine already.
Yeah.
It's gonna, even when I'm sitting in the theater for Endgame, I'm gonna know everything turns out fine.
And especially, for Peter Parker, you know it's going to turn out fine for T'Challa.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a Black Panther 2.
Which you've been saying for a year now.
Yeah, and it was kind of dickish of me to keep bringing it up in the review of Infinity War.
No, it wasn't. I thought it was a fair criticism.
But yeah, it is something that inherently takes you out of that world.
Real quick though, and this goes off of the Mysterio thing, so if you don't want to know anything, close your ears right now. It's like, no, Kevin, you can listen.
Oh, fuck.
You don't care.
But spoilers!
No, you don't care.
Alright, fine.
Like, because Mysterio is a illusion-based person, and because Mysterio is a villain, this teaser is trying to pull one over on people. I think these element creatures.
Once you brought up the illusion thing, I was like, there's a chance that Mysterio is just the villain.
They're all illusions of Mysterio, so that he can present himself as the hero. It's Syndrome from Incredibles, essentially.
Sure.
He wants to prove to people that he's a hero. In so doing so, will become the villain because he's doing it with a bad intention. That's all I wanted to say. I wanted to put it out there because I did think of this. It's been other podcasts and stuff have talked about it already, but I thought of this also too on my own. Just wanted to say.
I'm thank you for hipstering your viewpoint.
You're welcome.
Now that we're done hipstering Marvel products, the salesman is probably wondering why we've been in this teaser trailer showroom for as long as we have. We're going to finally bounce out of here. On that note of hipsterdom, we're going to move into something far more hipstery. We are going to move into an A24 trailer. The champagne of hipster movies, if you will. A24 production.
Is that a Miller High Life reference?
Because we're going to be talking about High Life.
Oh, fucking amazing.
We were scum. Trash. Refuse that didn't fit into the system. Until someone had the bright idea of recycling us to serve science.
Sorry, I'll stop spacing out and get into it. High Life is a movie that is directed by Claire Denis, co-written by her... Oh boy, this is very French. I'm sorry, y'all. Jean-Paul Fargeau and Jeff Cox.
Okay.
This is starring Robert Pattinson, Juliette Binoche, I'm probably mispronouncing that too, Andre Benjamin from Outcast fame, Mia Goth. A random shout out, because we here at Trailer Hitch, we like to give shout outs to lesser known cast members, lesser known crew members.
We've been on a crew kick lately though, so let's continue that.
I like that too. So we are going to say, oh boy, this is going to be a hard one to pronounce, but I want to shout you out. Céline Plancheol, you are the key makeup artist. That's not how you say your last name. I know it deep in my soul. But just so you know, we see you, Céline. Good job doing the makeup.
We appreciate you.
All right, so what's going on with High Life? James, what's going on with High Life?
All right, let me dive into this trailer here. Okay, so we start with Robert Pattinson and a baby. And they're bonding. It's very much a father-daughter type of relationship. And he's trying to get her to walk and get her to talk a little bit, say daddy and what have you. But you might notice out of the corner of your little eye that he is in an orange jumpsuit, which is is he a prisoner? Oh, he probably wouldn't have a baby. He's probably not a prisoner. And then, so it's a little bit of that, and then it cuts to him walking in from outside with the spacesuit on. And then you go, oh, okay, well, there's your space angle right there. So we got the high part of High Life.
Correct.
We got the baby for life, and now we got the high. So we got the whole title now. And so it's become clear that through Robert Pattinson's voiceover that they took a collection of people, undesirables, right? Expendable people that were menaces to society maybe, or criminals or what have you. We don't really know how they selected these people, but they selected all these people and shipped them up into space,
Yes.
I think,
Yes.
right?
That's the
And-
impression I get too.
Yeah, even though there is some land elements to it's not all in space stations. Like
Mm.
there's parts that feel like there's an environment, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we're looking at that as flashbacks.
It could be
specifically,
flashbacks. You're right.
or-
You're right. So
yeah, it seems like the predominant amount of action in this film takes place in space.
exactly. So they're up in space, and through voiceover again, we find out that their purpose is to be experimented on.
Yes.
For a reason that we're not entirely certain of yet.
Mm-hmm.
But we still have this continuing rhythm of this baby saying "dada,"
Yeah.
right? Which is a very adorable at the beginning. They're being experimented on, and that is when we enter a scientist, or she's got to be a scientist of some kind, right? Or a doctor.
Yeah, Juliette Binoche definitely feels like an authoritarian figure. Of
Nurse
some kind.
Ratchet type
Kind
for
of.
these
yeah,
for these
honestly.
inmates. She is.
I also think a good thing to highlight that they are inmates is when we see them sleeping in their rooms, their doors are gated.
Excellent point. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're very
there's
much in
bars.
cells.
Yes.
They are not allowed to roam around that
Mhm.
much. So we get the sense that she is kind of the head honcho of this group of inmates for her own experimental reasons.
Mhm.
I think we find out through it. Look, it's a very disjointed trailer, so my assumptions are very much that they're assumptions. It looks like she's experimenting on fertility.
Yeah,
Maybe-
yeah. There are scenes where she is going and like laying on top of Robert Pattinson seductively.
I mean, he called
Um,
her Foxy, so how could you not jump on his bones?
I
there,
mean,
right?
have you seen Juliette Binoche? She's kind of a dream.
Yeah,
But there are certain points where you can see her kind of grazing her hand against Mia Goth's character.
yes,
like,
yeah.
Where in theory a child would grow.
Is that how anatomy works?
I think.
Okay, great.
Public education, Wisconsin, man. Don't quote me on anything about human anatomy. Yeah, no, I honestly think that's a pretty fair assumption. Now, whether or not this is the expressive purpose of them being in space, whether it is just we're looking to monitor fertility in space,
Yeah.
or if unfortunately that's just what this turns into. If this is just supposed to be you are quote unquote outcasts in society, and so we're going to blast you up into space. And then this is the unfortunate byproduct of that, of your superior effectively now experimenting on you in some ways. That could potentially be it too. And thank you, because ultimately I'm really visually invested in this trailer. Like from a visual standpoint, this is off the fucking chain.
It's real bonkers. I'll tell you that much.
So bonkers. Yeah.
And
But from a narrative standpoint, I definitely feel lost in the back half.
I mean, you don't though at the beginning. I
No.
think that's the most interesting part of this trailer. Is at the beginning, it feels like a traditional trailer.
Yeah.
They're keeping some things back close to the vest, but
Mhm.
it's like, oh, by the end of the trailer, they'll reveal it. This is just how trailers work.
Mm.
It's like, here's a couple like buzzwords to kind of get you like going, ooh, what's that about? Ooh, what's that about? And then they'll be answered later in the trailer. And just kidding, they definitely won't be answered later in the trailer. We are just gonna chop things up to shit.
Either that, or it's like it is being answered, but just like as a tone poem, and it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
quite as direct. Kind of like another really prominent space movie, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and definitely the influence of that permeates throughout this trailer
Yes.
too.
Now, I will say, just going off of what we see in the trailer.
Yes.
Just one more thing. We do have some title cards in it of stuff Kevin and I complain about a lot of
Intellectual bullying.
Intellectual bullying.
These very smart people like this movie. Don't you want to seem smart to see this fucking movie?
So a good example is something being like, this is Arctic, which we talked about last episode, was this is the best survival movie you'll ever see.
Yeah, totally.
Like that kind of stuff.
This one is like, go out and seek it for your second, third, and fourth viewing.
That is literally the one I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Because that is a bold title card, intellectual bullying, to put on a movie trailer. Because not only is it is backhandedly saying how good it is, but it's telling you will feel like an idiot after the first time you see it.
Maybe,
you will not understand.
It's either you need the repeated viewings to be able to fully appreciate it, or it's just so good that you'll want to go and see it.
See, that would be accomplished with saying, run out and see it a second time. When they said third and then a fourth time, and they were like, you need to see it. Go and see it a second,
you need to see this
third,
at least
and fourth time.
times.
I'm like, no, right? I hope I don't need to see it 4 times to understand this movie.
Right.
Because that would be not a good movie, I think, in my opinion.
That's fair. At the same time, we're fucking with the aspect ratio at certain points. When we see the prisoners running,
Excellent
we definitely
observation.
move into like a 4x3. We get a random shot of a glove just floating by itself.
That was very strange.
Especially in the context of the montage we see it in. It just, all of a sudden, it's like, wow, this is a really striking image. I'm not necessarily sure what you're getting at right now, but this is a striking image.
Yeah. The strangest part for me is, of all these groups of criminals or undesirables, what did this baby do to have to get a cell next to fucking Robert Pattinson's serial murderer? That is a messed up baby.
It looks like Andre Benjamin just liked to grow weed, and it's kind of messed up that
that's just a commentary on our own social injustices here.
putting the social in Social Security this episode. There we go.
Here, sir.
Here. It's one of those things where, again, like the prisoners being in orange, and then kind of juxtaposing it with the orange jumpsuits is honestly like really creative. I really think that's a great idea in having this enclave of prisoners being in space, and then whether or not they knew that they were going to suffer the abuse that they were going to before they got up there, or if that was just a byproduct
part of the deal.
Or whether or not it was just, hey, we're up in space, no one can really check in on us, and Juliette Binoche is just kind of like, I'm gonna just start fucking with all of you, and no one can do anything about it.
I'm gonna fuck with you, I'm gonna fuck with you, I'm gonna fuck you. fuck with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
That is a really interesting premise. And the tone poem thing, again, I feel like is just kind of emulating 2001 for me.
This trailer is doing its due diligence, especially near the end, to confuse you.
Yeah,
to
overwhelm
you.
Specifically with how quick those cuts are.
Absolutely. Creativity, this trailer gets full marks. All the way.
Yeah.
Very well done in that respect.
But from a just like straight up, what do you think of this trailer kind of way, we do have a pretty concrete rating system.
That's right. This is a need to see more for me, Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah, it was mostly because I did enjoy the creativity of it, but near the end of it, I just ended up, my brain was just kind of like watching images.
Mm-hmm.
Like flashing over me. And
yeah.
Even, there was probably voiceover, but even the voiceover was getting lost on me.
Because
other than that, because
the visual onslaught is so
overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like you said. Yeah.
It's
that one title card too. 1,
just
2,
like,
3, 4 times. I was just like,
here.
come on.
Yeah. This is also, it's a high need to see more,
Okay.
but a need to see more all the same.
Fair enough.
Because I am incredibly interested in this from a visual standpoint. Even if it is the intention of the trailer to overwhelm me by the end. I don't necessarily know if it does so in that interesting of a way, because, like, the end of 2001 is very overwhelming. Like, it definitely gets into some bonkers shit.
No
in the last
spoilers,
20
Kevin.
minutes. Of
No
course,
spoilers.
Of course.
No
But at the
spoiler
same
king over
time,
here.
you have, if the last 20 minutes are bad shit, you have 2 hours and 10 minutes to kind of build you into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if what they're going for, if it is that 2001 structure, I just don't necessarily find it as successful when it's shortened into a 2.5 minute segment.
Full marks for trying it out, though.
Fuck yeah,
I think,
Again, creativity. You guys got it.
Yeah, I think you nailed it though. Like it's a little too experimental and doesn't exactly work for me there. So
I think we're going to move on from the social.
Moving right along.
We're going to get into the security, and I'm using this as my bridge. Do you know what Parabellum means?
Nope, I'm pretty sure it's a made up word, and
Okay.
we're going to talk about John Wick 3 Parabellum in 3, 2, 1.
Doc, 5 seconds.
John Wick, excommunicado in effect in 3,
2.
1.
And away we go.
Just Googled it. Parabellum is a type of gun.
Well, that explains why I had no
To
idea
all of
what
the
it
gun,
meant.
to all of the gun nerds who are just screaming at their listening devices, don't worry, we eventually got there. This is John Wick 3 Parabellum, which is
a type of gun.
you got it, bud.
Great.
This is directed by Chad Stahelski, written by Derek Kolstad. This is starring Keanu Reeves, Halle Berry, Ian McShane, Angelica fucking Houston. Our random shout out is going to go to David Chen, who's a stunt performer. Hey, David, people like you are kind of the backbone of movies like these, so seriously, good job, man. We appreciate it.
We appreciate every aspect of that.
All right, so this is John Wick 3 Parabellum. What is going on here story-wise? Here's what you need to know. John Wick is being excommunicated from the assassin enclave that he is a part of.
That's right. That's all set up from the second and first one.
He is being operated on, probably cleaning up the wounds that he received at the end of John Wick 2, and tells his doctor, you have 5 seconds to finish this surgery, because once those 5 seconds are up, it is midnight, and now John Wick is officially excommunicado.
He's fair game.
He is fair game.
He's
There's
open
a
season.
$14 million bounty on his head, and people are going to be coming for him. There's got to be more context here, right? Probably, but who gives a shit? It's John Wick 3. You are here to see people get shot.
No,
right?
I don't think there is more context to it.
Not
than
really.
that. That's
you,
it, man.
You do see him run with a dog, which it's like, oh, yeah, a dog is what got him into this hot water.
Yeah.
So, okay, like there's a nice little parallel there. Who gives a shit? You're here to see people get shot. And I think the important thing with a John Wick 3 trailer is, does it top itself? Because ultimately, when it comes to movies like this, it's like you get exactly what you want. It's just like an onslaught of violence, and you're really there at core for the choreography. You were there to see...
The gung fu.
The
right?
gung fu is what the term is. Yes, that's correct. But you're basically there to see just how nuts this can get.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that's what led to this success of kind of like the quote-unquote rebooted Fast and Furious franchise. It's like they were playing it straight for 4 movies, and finally in the 5th movie they were like, you know what, fuck it. We're going to throw a pie at this.
Yeah.
And that's what reinvented that entire franchise.
Excellent point. Yeah.
And so it's like you either got to reinvent your franchise or you got to keep topping yourself. Like you have to build these movies like they're an arc.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to continue that arc, you have to top yourself. And I think in John Wick's case, that means that the choreography has to be somehow even crazier or even more impressive in some way. And does John Wick's 3 choreography lend itself to that from the trailer? And honestly, so far the answer is yes. At one point, John Wick rides a horse and shoots a dude in the neck who's riding a
But
board
see,
bike.
and it's like, half of it isn't even choreography. It's just the audacity of him being on horseback in a motorcycle chase scene. It's like someone saying you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Well, John Wick brings a knife to a gunfight, and he kills every fucking person there.
Exactly.
He brings a horse to a motorcycle race.
To be fair, there was one really good line in the trailer where the guy from The Wire is talking to Ian McShane. I'm sorry, I don't know that actor's name. And he's like, what do you assess in this situation? John Wick has a $14 million bounty on him. The entire assassin world is going to be gunning for him. And Ian McShane effectively is like, I'd say the odds are about even. It's kind of a coin flip.
About even.
Yeah.
Good line, yeah.
There is one point where like a group of highly trained assassins comes for John Wick. John Wick empties his assault rifle into them and then throws the assault rifle at another passing guy and then takes
him out, man.
Just takes him out and then like uses a dude as a human shield and like fluidity of the choreography. And how, like, it doesn't skip a beat. We're not, like, taking a second to be like, wow, look at how awesome it is he just threw that gun at a guy. No, by the time you realize this is what's happening, we've already moved on.
Yeah.
He has killed 2 more dudes.
And he grabs a John Grisham novel and just shoves it into someone's throat.
Bear in mind, that shot is, like, just kind of like a non sequitur. It's like, it's during a montage.
You almost miss that. You blink and you miss that shot.
Yeah, it's him taking a book and having a dude's head with it. Is like an afterthought in this trailer. Something that would be like the badass focal point in most trailers is like the story here. Is like, oh yeah, and also at one point, I guess he does this.
So it's like
if that's treated as like the baseline.
The baseline. So it's like there's the choreography, which is there in this trailer. Then there's the audacity of ridiculousness, like him riding on a horseback, him walking in the desert for some random reason,
right?
Which, like, you make fun of, but at the same time you go,
I want to know.
I
want to know why we're there.
How does he get to that desert?
John Wick is being chased at one point, and you see a group of motorcyclists pull up katanas.
That's not a choreography thing or an audacity thing. It's more of like a blocking thing. They all like pull out their katanas like in synchronization.
Yeah.
Like dum 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 dum, like one after the other.
Yeah.
And it just makes for a beautiful shot composition.
And that's the thing too, is I think there are plenty of beautiful shot compositions among the choreography.
Can we talk about how great the music works in this trailer too?
So fun.
How the hell did they make that work throughout every like tempo change of this trailer? That song works throughout. Countdown is great. The John Wick is excommunicado in 3, 2, 1. Back into the song.
And like matching that with him having surgery.
It's like the most slow-paced thing you could match it with.
Well, it's a thing that specifically you want them to take their time. You want a doctor to make sure that they get this
and you can
right.
tell.
Here's the thing that I want to get at, though. So, like, the John Wick 2 trailer was also similarly a shitload of fun. So my favorite part of John Wick 2 is the silencer fight, and just how fucking nuts it is.
On the subway train?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So good.
Now, the silencer fight was not included in either of the trailers. They were smart enough to hold this for the actual movie and let it just be like a fun surprise. And so if you're giving us in the trailer of John Wick 3, the katanas on motorcycles, John Wick in a fucking desert, John Wick having a dude's head with a book. If this is what you're showing me in the trailer, what are you holding back then?
Oh my god!
If this is just like what you're whetting our appetite with, what is the actual fucking?
What's the main course? Yeah, I totally gotcha. Yep. Yeah, you're right.
I really don't feel like we're holding it that well. It's a need to see.
For you. Really?
Shut up.
Click
my glass. Thank you.
Cheers. Yes. Oh my god, it couldn't be anything less. This trailer was so well done. It's like it would be one thing if it were just like, you know, your excitement of the franchise in general, which is a lot of Marvel stuff for me.
But I mean, like, I think we can agree, like, from a craft level, this is incredibly well cut. The only way I can see myself being disappointed is if I go see the movie and I'm like, wow, the best stuff was really in the trailer.
And then it's like, oh, I've already seen it.
Yeah, but but if that's the case, then at the very least, we had a really good trailer.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we're going to completely shift tempos here. We're going, like, super fast pace with John Wick 3 Parabellum. We are now going to bum a bit into Beach Bum.
Is that the motherfucking moon dog?
Moon dog.
Man, you look like shit.
I look like I always look.
You have pissed away your talent on women and booze and...
Now you're talking. That's what feeds the juices up here in my nugget, man. I get all these things going. I start to hear music. The world's reverberating back and forth, and I hit the frequency.
Surf's Up. This is The Beach Bum. This is written and directed by Harmony Korine. This is starring Matthew McConaughey, Snoop Dogg, Isla Fisher, Martin Lawrence, Zac Efron, Jonah Hill. Our random shout out. We've been sticking with crew. We're going to go full crew this episode.
Can you find the parrot handler?
I can try. I need to figure out where that would necessarily be.
I wouldn't worry about it. Just
you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go right here to Kayla Belest, who is the office production assistant. Hey, Kayla, your job is usually not commended, but we're doing it right now.
Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you for your hard work.
Goddamn right here.
All right, so this is The Beach Bum. This is more about a personality, really. This is
He's a poet. He's a
novelist,
author, artist.
Yeah, a writer.
Yeah,
by the name of Moondog is what he goes by. Moondog is a writer, but mostly he fucking loves partying. He loves going out. He loves pouring beer into his cereal. He loves smoking an obnoxious amount of weed.
He loves Livin.
Yes. One day, he is partying, and he is driving and living his best life, and he gets pulled over. And he is told in his court hearing, you kind of need to shape up because otherwise you're going to be sent to prison.
Party ends here.
And at the same time, what appears to be his agent or some authority figure comes to him and is like, you haven't written anything in a while. You should really get this going. And so in order to save his career, in order to save himself from prison, Moondog now has to write what's, in his word, the next great American novel.
No small feat.
No small feat, especially because when you think about it, after he is given this ultimatum, he doesn't really change that much. Like, he's still smoking a shitload of weed. And that's effectively our story here. And I have to assume the fact that he doesn't really change all that much is kind of the point.
The point of the movie.
We see this debauchery, and then all of a sudden he's like, I got an idea. And then, like, he sits down, he hones down, and granted, he's still drinking, he is still imbibing in various substances, but now all of a sudden he's concentrated, and he is working. And that kind of saves my image of this character from being a complete beach bum.
Sure, yeah.
Like, there is someone in that partying mess who is devoted to their craft.
He makes sure his typewriter is at the ready wherever he's partying, for when inspiration strikes him.
Yeah.
Like, the trailer makes it abundantly clear that typewriter is at his side at all times.
Yes.
Yeah. It shows a lot of different shots of him just pecking away at it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's more or less like the story we get out of this. Otherwise, it is basically just like a comedy, and like we're focusing on this far larger than life character and the people who he hangs out with. We see them smoke joints that I think are bigger than an infant's arm, I think is a safe assessment.
I think about the size of like a water bottle.
Yeah, at least. We see a coke-addicted parrot get his cocaine.
From Martin Lawrence.
Correct. Snoop Dogg is in this, probably highs a kite during production.
Probably as himself.
Yeah. That's what this trailer is giving us.
That's what we were given.
So what did you think?
You know what, it was a lot of fun. It never took itself too seriously. Like you said, even after he gets pulled over from the police, sat down by the judge and told he needs to, like, you know, get his shit together.
Yeah.
And knock this off. It was still very much like, no, this trailer isn't going to take itself seriously. You thought we were about to because the judge told us to?
It's like, oh, this is going to be the moment where his life changes. Not really.
No, we're still not going to
Now he just is like, oh, I kind of have to sit down.
Now he meets Zac Efron.
Yeah.
And that's when things get really crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
I really liked just the color palette of it. Is obviously that's not much of a trailer critique as terms of a director style and, you know, cinematography and directing.
It's definitely carrying through Harmony Korine's last movie, Spring Breakers.
Spring Breakers,
Definitely
which I haven't seen.
It definitely had, like, the warm color tones during the day, and then the neon
at night.
Yeah,
which the visual just the visuals of Spring Breakers always impressed me in terms of the trailers and everything. And I do mean to see it eventually. But I think what this movie has that draws me a little bit more towards it that Spring Breakers didn't have was that humor. It's the humor in it, I think, that really draws me to this movie.
Spring Breakers was definitely sold as a crime movie.
It was. And that's fine. That's the type of movie it was. But with that style, it was very cool, but it wasn't as enticing to me. The style of this with a comedy, with Matthew McConaughey just, like, giggling his way through it, just, like, for some reason really enticed me with it. I really liked the music choices in it too. The beginning music cue is the bum 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 bum,
going back to 2001. Yeah,
right. But it's done in a very vacation,
they're given
relaxing.
Yeah, there's like it's like a funk remix.
Yeah, so the song choice after the courtroom scene, it added a bit of sobering, like, okay, shoot, we need to get our heads straight here. It was slower tempoed. It was, like, more, like, thoughtful.
Yeah.
It's a thoughtful song for that moment. But then, like you said, it goes right into his old antics, and the song does a good job of still matching that when he goes back to his old ways. So I thought the music worked really well with it.
And I do think that is an interesting aspect of his character, that he can be hit with that double whammy of both professionally and personally. He is given this wake-up call, and he doesn't, like, at all. And, like, it's just, that is who he is.
Yeah. I think in his brain, he thinks he is. Because even it's a voiceover of the trailer, but he's like, I'm changing everything. I'm gonna go out and, like, get the American experience so I can make the next great American novel.
Yeah.
So I think in his brain, he's like, oh, I changed everything. But on the surface level, to a judge, it's just like, no, you didn't. You're doing everything. You didn't understand what I wanted you to not do, clearly.
Yeah. Some of the trailer and the humor really lands for me. I love the Coke Parrot.
Yeah, the Coke Parrot was pretty hilarious.
I think that's really good. Something that doesn't necessarily land for me, the blind pilot joke kind of feels like...
It was a little flat. I didn't hate it, I didn't laugh out loud.
It definitely feels like a joke in a 90s comedy, which isn't to denigrate 90s comedies, but, like, just given the kind of movie we're dealing with here, it was like, oh, I guess this is sort of like the humor palette.
I feel like a joke in, like, a Captain Ron sequel.
Yeah. And really a lot of the humor for me derived in just how ridiculous the debauchery got. It was like how big the fucking joints were. Guy telling him he looked like shit, and he's like, nah, this is just how I always look. That was really where things were hitting for me. Because, like, even though it is obviously larger than life and insane, those felt like, yeah, but I bet there's one fucking dude that's just like this on a beach somewhere. This is probably, like, some dude's, like, image of himself. And I think for me it was, like, once he gets, like, those consequences thrown at him, like, I'm kind of torn. Like, there's a part of me that's like, I think I might be more interested in a movie where he doesn't have those consequences. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this so I can write the next great American novel, when really he's just trying to avoid doing his job. It would also be interesting to see that character, to get more of a deep dive and, like, even if he doesn't realize it, we as an audience get the sense like, oh, he's running away from certain aspects of himself.
Exactly.
And that's the stuff that I would be kind of interested in seeing peeled more out of, one way or the other. But if it's just kind of like the, here's the cold statement of fact, and then it doesn't really do anything, I think in of itself, from like a meta level, I think that is really funny and like interesting. But like, I don't know if that basic bit is going to play for an hour.
Work out in the whole grand scheme of the film.
Yeah.
I can respect that. Yeah. I didn't really have that concern when I was watching the trailer. I think the trailer did a good job for me, at least, in making me feel like this works in the context of this 2-minute trailer. And I didn't necessarily, and that's a good point. Now that you brought it up, I am thinking about the grand scheme of the 2-hour film. But while watching the trailer, I really wasn't. I probably just like assumed and hoped there's more to it, but otherwise I liked it.
Oh, and bear in mind, like, I think there is a lot to like in this trailer.
Well, how did you feel about this one then?
For me, it's a need to see more.
Need to see more, yeah.
There's definitely stuff about this trailer that I'm all about. And overall, I do think that this trailer is fun, but I think I'm just looking for that extra little hit. Because, like, if all it is debauchery, well, I don't necessarily know if that's going to be enough for me for 90 minutes. And if there is more to it, it would be kind of interesting to get, like, little tastes of that.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. I think, for me, the style and the humor was, the marriage of those two things for this trailer was enough for me to give this a low need to see it.
Okay, very cool.
So, I don't know. There was something about it that it just charmed me. It charmed me in a way that I didn't worry about, is this just going to be very samey for 90 minutes?
Yeah.
Is this just going to be this guy just doing his thing for 2 hours?
Mm-hmm.
It could be, and if it is, that'll be upsetting to me. But for some reason, this trailer just didn't make me worry about that. And I kind of liked how carefree it was and just how simple it was and nice it was.
And maybe that's what this movie, or trailer, is going for.
Hopefully there is more to it than this.
Maybe it will be as carefree as the character is.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, that's why it's a low need to see.
I think that about does it for us.
Yes, sir. That about does it for me.
So we are going to launch into it, folks. If you at any point are like, I completely disagree. If you're like, hey, the hipster one of the duo did not give need to sees for like the 2 hipster movies, but seemed really passionate about John Wick 3. Did you happen to replace the hipster mid-season of this podcast?
Yes, I am now wearing Kevin's beanie and
Right.
glasses. Yeah. And his Criterion Collection shirt.
If you're concerned, it's a J Dilla shirt. If you're concerned, you can send in an email to trailerhitchmailbox@gmail.com to check in on my well-being. Otherwise, if you want to be a little less formal, you can also hit us up on Facebook to check in on my well-being. If you really don't care that much, but feel like you should just check in out of the goodness of your own heart, you can do that on Twitter at TrailerHitchPod. You can also do that on our Instagram if you want to take a picture, if you would like to see visual proof that I am still here.
You're doing okay. You're not tied up or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can find us on Instagram at TrailerHitchPodcast. And if you want to listen to these episodes, if you're currently listening to us on iTunes, that's great. If you can also rate and subscribe, that would be amazing.
On iTunes, do it. That would be awesome.
If you normally listen to us on iTunes and you're like, oh man, like I wish I could listen to you guys at work, but I don't have access to my iTunes. The good news is I do have access to YouTube.
YouTube.
Good news. We are on YouTube. You can also find us if you just search Trailer Hitch Podcast on YouTube. You'll be able to find all of our backlog right there for you.
You can't really check on Kevin's well-being on YouTube.
No, I mean, maybe you can comment on one of the videos.
But in the illustration of our podcast,
I look fine.
He is the one in the beanie.
Yes.
The one that looks like a hipster.
Yes.
Speaking of art...
well, before we get to our art credits,
sorry.
We will also say we're also on Stitcher.
And
anyway,
Stitcher.
Our arts. Our art is done by Rachel Ashley. You can find her at Mighty Creations on Instagram. She's super dope. You should look at her stuff. Thank you so much to Danny Schmitz from Lost in a Name for our awesome intro song. Huge shout outs to Casey Clower for the bitching outro, which you'll hear in just a moment. But first, we have to say thank you to Jenny Hawks, our social media and our bad movie correspondent. You kill it every week. Thank you so much, bud, for actually doing the things that James and I just don't really have the time or attention for.
All the things, yeah.
And we'd also like to thank you, the listener, wherever you are, however you are. We hope you're doing well.
Yeah, however you are. That's good. I like that. Be well, listeners.
Just in general. And we hope that you'll be well in the next couple of weeks in between this episode and our 61st episode.
Hey-o!
All right. Thanks so much, guys.
Cheers, bye.
You can't mount holy sails without a sailor stitch, and you can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Even your lungs can't take how
I
good
know,
John
right?
3 is. Have interest in a niche. So you and I. No, wait, do you have a cold?
God damn it. I can't get over it. I gotta go back to work.